Hello there. This is Wally44. I go by a lot of other names, but you can just call me Wally. And today I'll be going over ground vehicle combat in MCheli-O. Quick little background about me. I'm just a guy who worked on some of the sounds, gave Ridin advice on the mod from time to time, etc. And now I'll be helping out with video production. In MCheli-O, all the armor is modeled realistically for every single tank and every single vehicle, helicopter, airplanes, etc. Also, every shell has been modeled realistically, so damage values are balanced across all tanks. And I'll show you what this looks like. Going into a vehicle, you can go in the mod options and turn test mode on to enable hitboxes. This will show you what the main bulk of the mod is about. Ridin has done a fantastic job drawing all these boxes. As you can see, every vehicle has been treated the same. When you go to fight in MCheli-O, it's not going to be like other tank mashup packs. There's not going to be a random vehicle that's better. In general, modern MBTs will stomp everything else. Same for modern APCs, modern helicopters. They will outperform their older counterparts. Now, this doesn't mean that you're completely helpless in your older vehicles. You'll just have to play better in order to still kill the enemy if they have better vehicles. This T-3485 is a staple of World War II, and so is the M26 Pershing we're currently using. So if I fire into the front plate, the 90mm gun has no problem penetrating the 45mm plate. Now, obviously, with something like this T-72, it's going to be a different story. Only 8 damage for the MBT, and of course the 125mm gun with 3BM42 will utterly decimate the M26 Pershing. However, if you are facing to the side or manage to get to the side of the vehicle, you can take a side shot, and these are much easier to punch through. This is how all tanks are modeled. MBTs, it doesn't matter. Every tank has a side weakness. As you can see, in this case, it was easily able to penetrate the T-72 side armor. So, player skill matters a lot more in MCheli-O. You don't want to be taking shots to turrets or front armor unless you're in extremely modern vehicles with high performance shells. Otherwise, you might end up bouncing or dealing low damage. Now, same applies to this T-90M. We obviously know that the armor of the T-90M would utterly resist this. But thanks to its ERA components and improvements to side armor, as manufacturers realize they need to protect from AT from the side, you see, the vehicle still took a lot of damage, but it managed to survive and can fight back. In short, if you have access to more modern vehicles, you will have an easier time in MCheli-O. However, if you're not very good at vehicle combat, you will still get stomped by someone in a World War II vehicle. MCheli-O comes with multiple shells for many tanks. This is due to, in real life, they have different shells for different capabilities. For example, this APCR round is good for penetrating flat armor, and in this mod, that means it's just good for penetrating armor. Same for this APBC shell, which has better angle performance. However, ballistic cap shells usually have an explosive filler with them, so that caused the small explosion. Next, we have coaxial and top-mounted machine guns. So there are many weapons available to each vehicle in MCheli-O. Modern tanks come equipped with APFSDS, which is a pure steel / tungsten uranium round. It doesn't have any explosive filler. Heat, which is a chemical round, and HE, which is just a high explosive round. Obviously, HE is better for dealing with lighter targets, much bigger explosion, as you can see. There are also ATGMs. These are guided missiles. Very good for dealing with faraway targets. Next, we'll be covering 3 different main types of light vehicle. One, we have a light vehicle equipped with a main cannon, usually very high performance. These are for dealing with enemy armor, but they're very squishy, so you will die to almost anything. Here we have a ZDZ-99A, the latest tank from China. A decent shot from this 105 gun will still go straight through. But it is the same for the B1 Centauro as well. As you can see, I fired an HE round and it still did massive damage. Next, we'll be covering APCs that are mounted with a autocannon. These are very good for dealing with infantry and also just better versus other light vehicles. The B1 Centauro has to fire its main cannon, and then for a while it's pretty helpless. But a vehicle with an autocannon can take out multiple targets at once. As you can see, a bit of a problem for the B1s. Keep in mind the BTR-3 has a very low performance round. But if you were to get into something like a BMPT, now a quick thing to note is that some light vehicles are more light than others. For example, infantry carriers will simply get outperformed by vehicles actually meant to fight tanks, such as the BMPT. This is heavily armed with APDS and missiles to deal with armored targets. So, as you can see, the 30mm cannon will be much more devastating to these B1 Centauros. Killed almost instantly. If we were to take a B1 and fire a shot at this T-72 hull, you would still deal decent damage to the enemy. Of course, since this is such a heavy vehicle, it survives. Sorry, before I said that there are 3 main types. I mean, that is true. We have light vehicles with cannons, light vehicles with ATGMs, but also there are light vehicles or self-propelled vehicles that can do many different things. So, this PLZ-45 is a self-propelled artillery. It has a very, very good range. It is perfect for dealing with your enemy from far away. As you can see, there's a rangefinder for you, and so you can accurately gauge your artillery shells. A squad of these can be devastating to an enemy that is advancing. Next type of vehicle are AAs. These are perfect for dealing with aircraft. Sadly, there's no other player online right now, so I cannot demonstrate it. But the high velocity cannons, along with their fire rate, are very good for dealing with air targets. There are also missile variants of AAs, in which they use surface-to-air missiles to deal with air targets. Lastly, we have missile launcher. Now, the Scud missile launcher fires, obviously, missiles, and they have extreme range. I'm not even sure if that projectile will persist due to the distance. Now, one thing about missile launchers, and generally anything with range in Minecraft, is that servers have limited chunk radius outside of the player's trigger distance. So, use of these things usually requires all the chunks to be connected, otherwise they can get lost in space. In short, this was the ground vehicle combat for MCheli-O. It has realistic bounding boxes to make sure your shells land when they're supposed to, and obviously that you take the appropriate amount of damage. We have different shell types, so you can choose what loadouts you want to go into battle with. Lastly, there are many different types of vehicles and a decent variety of vehicles, which I will just quickly show off at the end of this video. MCheli-O has everything in it, from GTRs, Jeeps, BDRMs, the Type 16, T-14 Armada, Leopard 2A6, and the Abrams. We have vehicles from Russia, China, America, Germany, Sweden. Overall, it's a very detailed pack. One bonus thing I want to show you. This is Rajex's love child. This stupid thing. The STRV. This thing is quite disgusting in vehicle combat, as it has the ability to raise and lower its overall profile. You don't even want to know how long he spent on that. Anyways, that was just a quick video for me covering ground vehicles. Please make sure to reach out to Rajex if you have any questions, and keep an eye on his channel. If you like this content, go ahead, like and subscribe, and make sure to go follow the project on Discord. This is Wally44, out.